newlywed couples having to have some sort of a house
Yes.
or apartment or something.
Yes.
That's why people don't want to get married, right?
Yes.
Because these days, who can even afford a freaking house?
Yes.
So you're saying that that's definitely an issue in China as well.
If you get married in China, it's almost 100% sure that the guy is going to buy the apartment.
Right.
So the girl doesn't buy the apartment at all.
What if he cannot afford an apartment?
Then he cannot get married. So this is the reality
So
in
okay,
China.
and how strict is that as a cultural thing, like pattern? Like where did the cultural pattern start? That guy has to buy the house for
Yes.
the wife.
I would say 30 or 40 years ago, when China lived in a very, I would not say like communism so society, is like a socialism society. When couples get married, the guys, if has a job, he can ask the company to get a house for them for free. For free. So the ideal for those people who get married is, if you get married, the guy's gonna have a house, so you're gonna live there. But in late 90s, you can never have a free house anymore. So they realized having a house is very crucial, is very important in China, because without a house, you have no place to live.
But that's everywhere, isn't it?
Well, the thing is, like, people tend to have the house for free. You know, it's really hard for them to change. They don't work hard on that. You know, it's just like it's a very number one must thing you have to have in life.
Especially in socialist regimes.
Exactly.
The ideal of socialism, isn't it pretty much
everybody has
gets
a house,
free things?
free things in house, which they did, but turns out it's not very helpful for the economy in China.
It's not sustainable.
Yes. So when in the late 90s, people if they have a house, they have a chance to buy the house for a very low price.
Right.
They just, I think that time our first apartment, it was only, oh my God, it was so cheap. It was $3,000.
In USD terms.
Yeah, it was like 1997. If you,
So you can
just
buy
pay $3,000, you can get like 100 square meters
many bedrooms?
apartment.
Really, like
Yes.
3-bedroom apartment
Yes, yeah,
for
two.
$3,000.
I would say 2 bedrooms, one bathroom for
Right.
only $3,000.
So now in Shanghai, let's say like a decent sized 2-bedroom apartment
$1 million, at least.
in USD.
US,
Yeah.
at least.
So
And I would say the apartment is not new apartment. It may be built in 1970s.
wow. So
And 1
that's
million.
how much like property value just
Yes.
shot up.
Yeah. If you want to get an apartment, a pretty nice apartment, and you have
just two
bedrooms.
bedrooms.
Or maybe three,
Three?
it's going to cost at least $2.5 million.
So which means that the parents still want a guy to be able to
Okay.
buy a $2.5 million house.
Because the guy needs to buy apartment, and a lot of parents realize the apartment, the real estate fee is getting so high.
Yeah.
When the kid was born, and it was a grandkid, a grandson, or is their son, is a male, is a boy, they started considering to buy a house for him for the future marriage.
Wow.
Starting, planning like
parents start
25,
saving
saving
up.
money. There's a lot of ways. If you work in a company and the company pay different kinds of insurance. So one of the insurance is real estate insurance. So in the future, they put the money in this insurance account, and for like after 20 years, you can use this money to buy an apartment with loans. You can do that.
Wow.
So my nephew was born in 2012, and he already got an apartment. Because if they know that if if he doesn't have apartment, it's really hard for him to get married in the future. And also, there were a lot of conflict between the couple. A lot of girls marry this guy, and turns out they divorced. So if they don't have apartment, the girl feels like she cannot get anything. It's just waste of her youth, waste of her life, waste of her time and stuff. If the guy cheated on her.
So that brings up an interesting
Yes.
question. Then if like the guy brings the house to the marriage, and they get divorced, like
Okay.
who gets the house?
Very interesting question. Turns out, if, for example, my husband is Shanghainese, for example, I'm Shanghainese, right? My husband's parents bought an apartment before we got married without loans. And after that we got married and we divorced. I can't get a thing. It's really hard for me to get, actually money from the apartment.
That sounds fair though, because
Yeah.
the parents already
Exactly.
bought it beforehand.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But if the parents bought it before we got married, and then both of us paid the loan,
Oh.
the apartment,
Right.
then I get a certain percentage because we need to talk to the lawyer about the
Right.
arrangement of the
So
apartment.
basically, you need to sell the house and split the money.
Yes. So that's why it's very interesting that a lot of girls ask them to put their name on the apartment because if they got married, they don't want to get nothing. They don't want to get nothing, right? So, for example, if the parents bought the apartment full price,
Yeah.
the they were worried about that. It was like, oh, I married you. What if you cheated on me and I left and I don't get a thing? So they will ask the parents-in-law to put her name on the apartment.
What? But
And
do
a
they-
lot of people do that.
Do they accept that? Like the parents accept
a lot
that?
a lot of them because they
So,
want
okay,
their
alright.
they want their son to get married and they give the make her feel secure.
Okay. So let me get this straight. So you have a situation where the guy needs to bring a house to the marriage.
Yes.
But he obviously cannot afford it unless he has got some super fancy job or they
Mm-hmm.
will come from a rich family. In which case, the parents will already have bought the house for the son in preparation for the future marriage. So the house is already in the parents' name or the husband's name?
I think most of them they is under a son's name. I
Son's
think.
name.
Yeah.
So they already bought a house on the son's name.
Yes.
But then this, he finds a girl. She comes along and she tells her parents-in-law.
Yeah. I know it sounds absurd, right?
Put my name in the
Yeah.
house that you already bought
Yeah.
like many years ago.
Yes.
Because I need to feel secure in the
Yeah.
relationship, and they will
Do it.
they will consent.
Yes, they will. Because the law is like this. If she, the woman like get pregnant and have a kid, and even though they get divorced, she cannot get a thing. So a lot of girls think it's unfair. A lot of girls they can say, oh, I can promise that I will never cheat on him, but the guys never get a promise
Right.
on that, which is it's kind of a stereotype.
Yeah.
But to see the data, a lot of divorce, the major reason of divorce in China is actually the guys cheated on their wife. So that's why a lot of Shanghainese girl. I know Asian Boss did the documentary to go to Shanghai Park,
Yeah.
see those people
Yeah.
trying to they'll go on blind date and stuff.
Yeah.
The major requirement is local Shanghainese, and then they need to have an apartment, right?
Right.
If you're from Shanghai, that means your parents will have apartment in Shanghai, right? So which means a lot of parents, they will sell their apartment and break into 2 small apartments to help their son to get married.
Is it because there are just more boys, more guys, and then
I think so.
like just finding a girl is just that much more difficult?
But the thing is, like, I look around my friends, most of the females are not getting married recently. A lot of my guy friends actually got married.
But it is true,
Yeah,
right?
it is
Statistically,
true.
there are more guys.
That's true.
So you would think that girls actually have more choices.
But the girls always looking for the guy who has like a higher social status.
So they are looking for the top 1%.
Yeah,
Like the
even
successful
or maybe
guys.
the same, status. I think they're reasonable. If we can talk, we have like basically the same background. You have apartment, oh, sure, I have apartment too. We're the same. We can. If you have apartment, we have apartment. We can live in your apartment and then just rent out our apartment and make it our own money.
So then you would agree, basically, that, given these type of actual economic circumstances, especially with houses and all these cultural complications related to just getting a house,
Yes.
that is directly responsible for people not having children,
Exactly.
therefore the population decline,
Exactly.
right?
I would say this. I would
So
say so.
it doesn't matter if the Chinese government says that now you guys need to have like
doesn't
2 or 3 children minimum. Like there's not a 1-child policy. We
No.
have a 3-child policy.
Yeah.
People
No,
still not
nobody
gonna
do
do
it.
it. Still not gonna do it.
Actually, there's a lot of meme on the Chinese social
what's the-
website. They were talking about the reason why we cannot get a BMW is not because we don't want to get it. It's because we cannot afford it. giving this kind of, support from the little support from the local government is like having a $5 discount from the BMW, which is not, helpful
so
at all.
That's the meme. Like
Exactly.
they compare having a baby to owning
Yeah,
a BMW.
yeah.
I want a BMW, I just can't afford it.
So
right.
people did this kind of research on how much money they're gonna spend to just raising a child in China. The average money for raising a child is $100,000.
From when to when?
From the day they're born till till high school. I would say yes.
So the lifetime sort of cost of educating a child.
Yes. Well, maybe the thing is, no, it's not that expensive, but I'm not talking about in Shanghai. I'm talking about in general in China, including the rural area. So, to have $100,000 for I would say 15, 16 years is not that cheap. It's not that affordable.
Right. Then what are the parents doing? Because this is actually my question to parents, like your parents or older parents, they know that the cost of everything is just spinning out of control. But they are also the one reinforcing the cultural norm that no, the guy needs to get a house. Like, what do they want more? Do they want to see grandchildren more, or do they actually like want you to live well? You know what I'm saying?
Well,
like on your own.
I would say most of the Chinese parents, they definitely want their kids to have baby. They definitely want to see their grandchild.
Which means that they have to make some sacrifices, right?
Exactly. So I had this kind of fight with my mom. She was saying that you have to get prepared to get pregnant. And I'm like, I'm still in school. I need to finish my master's degree this year, and I'm still seeking jobs. And if I just got this job and I ask for a paternity leave after only working this company for like I would say 5 months, 6 months, nobody's gonna hire me. And then she was like, that's your situation, then just find a company that can to help your paternity leave. I was like, Mom, that's not a very easy thing to find.
So it's always a constant like hoop that you need to jump through.
Yes.
First you need to meet a guy.
Yeah.
But then make sure that the guy has to
a house.
have enough capacity to buy a house.
Yes.
And then if you do get married, you need to have a kid.
And then you make sure that you can have a fertility leave and you have the kid, and after that you can get back to a job and have your wonderful life.
So I guess maybe part of the reason why, it's hard for guys to get married because they have all this financial pressure. But at the same time, for some reason, girls also have trouble dating or finding the right guys, so to speak. Would you say that's true?
I would say that's true. And also because of the one-child policy, it just happened in our generation. We're the only child in our family. We don't know how to share. It turns out like a lot of people are kind of childish and kind of selfish.
Right. And would you say that's also same mainly for girls, that they have this
for
ability?
both? No, for guys and girls.
As well.
For guys, well, I see way worse, than girls. I have those typical cases like the guys who go on blind date talking to girls. Was like, I know you guys are so desperate, so desperate to marry a guy because
they'll say that.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
they say that in front of their face, and there are a lot. And some guys, have the blind date, ask the girl to meet at KFC, and they want to, separate the bill on KFC, and then during the blind date, let's keep his hand, always checking his phone.
So it's not even properly engaged or paying attention.
Yes, even the coffee shop is good,
Maybe KFC's a bit.
Or McDonald's.
Yeah.
Sometimes KFC is more expensive than a cup of coffee, right?
So basically, they're being disrespectful. Almost.
Exactly.
Right.
And there's like we have more options.
Why do you think that is? Because again, ratio would dictate that if there are more girls, then I can see that, right? Because more girls, less guys. Girls have trouble finding the partners. Well, there are more guys, so wouldn't they go after girls more?
But I have to put it in a reality in Shanghai is, let's see, this is rich girls are here, right?
Right,
And
right.
there's rich guys.
Okay.
For rich guys, they have all the options over
Yeah,
here.
Yeah.
But for the rich girls, they only have this kind of options.
Right.
They don't want to go down.
What
here.
about what about regular girls that are not rich?
And regular girls are like this.
Right.
So they're always looking like this.
They're always looking up.
all
Yeah.
up. And for these guys, they have this kind of options over
Right,
here.
right.
So that's what. But under here,
What
they
about the-
want to have these girls
Right.
call their attention to look at us, but they're actually looking up to here.
So basically, if you're a regular guy, then you're screwed.
The thing is, even though you're not that rich, you have a stable job, you have a good personality. Of course, you will have a girl. You will get a girl. You will date. I see a lot of guys. They come to Shanghai by themselves. And they started to save money to invest, and they save a lot of money. Started to buy a little studio, like a little bit outside of Shanghai, which is possible. You
Yeah.
can buy that,
Yeah.
and then when the price increased, they sell
So
it.
that they
to,
work their way up.
they would work their
yeah,
way
yeah.
up. I see a lot of guys. Well, after that, and then he met this girl,
Right.
and then they married together and paid the loans together. I saw a lot of cases like that.
Then, in that case, if the girls have trouble meeting, let's say, good guys that are either rich or they're very diligent, so they work their way, whatever. But it sounds like it is a pretty small pool of quality guys that girls can choose from. Then, because they cannot find partners, you can do two things. Either you just grow old, and then I would love to discuss more about when they reach the age of sort of like 35, where you're now considered like a kind of like a leftover. Where is that line? Is it 35, or even after you become 30, you're almost like what's the word? Like your market value almost
Yeah.
like just declines.
For girls, I would say 30.
Right. Regardless of whether you have money or not.
Exactly.
When they hear it's like, hey, do you want to go on a blind date? Oh, sure. Tell me how old she is. Oh, she's 35. Then what would be like a typical Chinese guy's reaction?
Too old.
Right. So they're not
Too
even
old.
going to try to meet the person. Right?
Well, 35, maybe if the guy is 50 or late 40, maybe 35 is fine. But if the guy is 35 as well, they definitely want to meet someone who's under 32 or even under 30.
Are girls aware of that?
Of course. Of course they're aware of that.
Right, right.
Sometimes they wonder like what's wrong with themselves. A lot of my friends is like they'll try to think in a positive way, you know. Well, if I don't meet the right guy, it would be better if I just, live by myself. Because if I married a bad guy, my life will be miserable. So compared with that, I would rather to live by myself. But it's just the way that they persuade themselves to make
Right,
them,
right.
less miserable. And the other hand, there's a lot of girls, they think, I'm financially independent, I have house, I don't need a guy.
Yeah. So
there are a lot of girls,
they could
yeah.
talk to themselves, say, I don't technically need a guy.
Yeah.
But do you think that is also part of the reason why they, especially girls, turn to international marriage to find a foreigner? Because like foreigners don't maybe care about the age factor as much.
But I would just say it's all about destiny. It's just even though you want to find a foreigner, it's not that easy for you to find a foreigner because there's more Chinese guy in China, right? There's definitely more option than foreigner. But if you're living in a foreign country, then yes, finding a foreign guy maybe is the number one choice because in foreign country the Chinese guy is the option is very limited, right?
Is that why maybe the Chinese young people are just becoming more cynical and more jaded? And then they're like, you know what, I'd rather just go, I don't know, study overseas and then like just move out of.
That's true. That's true.
So it does happen.
Yeah, it
Okay,
does
okay.
happen. Well, but study abroad is not a easy way for them to figure out. Maybe they want to move to a different city,
Right. Right.
to jump up this kind of family zone. People do that, like me.
So then sounds like young Chinese people have it tough.
Yeah,
That international marriage is difficult.
local marriage is difficult.
Local marriage is difficult, and even if you get married, there's a high divorce rate.
Right. Yeah. I just feel like modern people are just living. The society is like everything is so difficult to handle as compared to years ago. I don't know what was like was a society really
Well,
looks
I'm
like.
pretty sure
yeah.
objectively, our previous generation, it was actually tougher to survive.
Yeah.
Way tougher. Like end of war or during the war, literally building it from nothing.
Yeah.
I would say we can't even compare that. But for some reason, yeah, people definitely have more of a mental issues.